In reality, it seems pretty bad if the system we're all used to is built on the gradual dismantling of civil liberties, because that's the thing, we're used to it. If Trump has any positive talents, it's his ability to make evident that which was already there. He is so grotesque and loud in his terrible goals that, in pushing the limits of his power, he's exposing the seams that everyone ignored. He's the guy who makes the mall security guards realize that, technically, there's no rule against skinny dipping in the fountain. This is all to say that Trump and ICE are quite horrifyingly working in tandem with a system that most Americans consider functional. So in order to disrupt or protest the things they are doing, you have to disrupt that system as well. But for most people, it's easier to simply allow this machine to keep moving, even if that machine churns out dead people as a byproduct or the main product. A pretty clear example is detention facilities. Migrant detention centers have been, even before ICE, notoriously terrible places, and no one really cared. I mean, most people don't seem to care that our prisons are, in general, terrible and ineffective for reform. That is the system in place, and so it's simply easier for that system to keep on keeping on. ICE is currently looking to expand their detainment abilities through contracts with private prison companies and local jails. And why wouldn't they oblige? Private prisons are there to make money. Not to mention that local jails also get paid by federal agencies like ICE and the US Marshals Service to hold more people. Local police forces depend on that money. In Butler, Ohio, for example, they are now making money through a federal contract that pays $68 each day for each detainee, plus $36 an hour for transport. That contract is more valuable to them than the actual job of serving and protecting their community. How do I know that? Because Butler PD allowed ICE to arrest a father and son who were working construction in the jail. They were imprisoned in the same jail they were there to renovate for the police. And then the sheriff went on X, the everything app for groveling to the president, to boast about it.
They drove past the sign. They know who I am. They know what this is about. And we had 2 illegals that came into the jail. They had fake identification. You can't make this up. And it was done at the Butler County Jail. They came in, but this shows you the gall. They don't care. And for those of you that are listening, this is one of many. I've told you, we're getting the training. We're gonna be able to do this very soon.
He thinks it's about gall? Like someone dared these 2 people to sneak in and do work for him? You know why they were there, Sheriff Mustache? Probably because they fucking needed the work and hoped, or maybe trusted, that their community wouldn't screw them over. And they were wrong. That Coen Brothers ass sheriff even boasts that his cops will soon be doing what ICE did, punishing and detaining people who are just trying to work and help and exist in their cities and towns. That is horrifying and ghoulish, and also the system our government created. We have this fantasy of a small town that protects their own. Like, do you remember in Iron Man 3 when the lava lady pretends to be Homeland Security and flashes a badge, and the local sheriff actually challenges and tries to detain her?
Sheriff, is it?
Yes, ma'am, it is. And you are?
Homeland Security. You good here?
No, we're not good.
Yeah, that's a nice, beautiful lie. It'd be neat if that happened, but the truth is that the sheriff in that scene would be right there next to the lava lady, doing lava crimes. That is the actual baseline for America. The fact that Trump is making billion-dollar deals with private prison companies like Core Civic and Geo Group to build migrant detention centers is just capitalism working. The fact that these private prisons have been described by a district judge as a hellhole filled with violence and suicide attempts doesn't matter, because they also get to pay the detainees $1 a day for labor. And because someone decided that it's good for the local economy, even though studies show that to not be very true at all. Slave labor. We're rounding up people, splitting up their families, and making them do slave labor for us. And yet, when people protest this process, they are the disruption. And I guess that's true, We have to accept that in order to change this, we have to disrupt a system that some people think is working correctly and are comfortable with. But it is necessary and effective to be that disruption. Here is a news story out of Los Angeles from the beginning of June.
Glendale Police Department housing some undocumented immigrants at its jail. The reported action goes against California's sanctuary state rules that prohibits law enforcement from assisting in federal immigration enforcement.
According to city records from 2017, the federal government pays Glendale $85 per day for each ICE detainee temporarily housed here. In 2016, the city reported receiving just over $6,000 under that agreement, and either party can cancel the contract with 60 days notice.
That's right. It isn't just in small towns. The city of Glendale had a very similar contract with ICE that the police in Butler do. Theirs existed before Los Angeles became a sanctuary city. The only difference is that people spoke up about it, went to city council meetings, and then, right around the time the protests began, Glendale broke their contract with ICE. Did they want to do that? Absolutely not. In fact, the mayor of Glendale flat out said that they'd rather keep the contract with ICE, but felt pressure to break it. Good. The DHS assistant secretary is, of course, now accusing Glendale of siding with the criminals. Trump will probably weigh in and say we should nuke Glendale. People will want to punish the city and claim that they are encouraging lawlessness. From their computers in like rural Maine or whatever, Kristi Noem is clearly using these protests to plant the seeds for, I don't know, seems like they want to usurp the state of California. Sure would be useful for them considering the state's economy.
We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city.
Pretty chilling, especially considering what happens immediately after that.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
That is, as I'm sure you heard about, a United States Senator, Alex Padilla, being pushed out and handcuffed for trying to ask Kristi Noem a question while she was up there musing about using the military to, big quotes, liberate Los Angeles from its leadership. By the way, he's not just a senator of the state they were in at the time, but he is also a ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee's subcommittee on immigration, citizenship, and border safety, which means he leads the consideration of immigration reform proposals as well as oversight of federal agencies with citizenship, asylum, refugee, and immigration enforcement responsibilities. Even if he didn't identify himself, which he did, she should know that guy. I know this all seems very big and very scary. I know that Trump probably wants any excuse he can get to declare a state of emergency in California. He wants us to feel scared about speaking out, to tell ourselves that it would be easier just to back off, lest the New York Times paint you as rude. But this is the right thing to do. We have to push the people in charge to put their asses on the line now because very few of them will do it themselves. You know, unless they think it's good for them politically, which I guess it is. But if that's what it's gonna take for Gavin to take a break from his podcast to actually stand up for his citizens and sue Trump over deploying the National Guard, so be it, I guess. If it's going to take regular people standing in the street and saying no, then that's what it will have to take. Very few politicians are going to do the right thing unless we demand they do it. Period. Exclamation point. 100 emoji. Also a fern emoji to make it look nice. There are laws and levels of policing that we can, I guess, accept in order to maintain our society. And there are ones we cannot. And ICE is one we absolutely can't accept. We cannot accept, under any circumstances, a roving group of masked thugs kidnapping people off the streets, harassing schools and churches, lying about who they are and why they are there. Doesn't matter if they have a badge. ICE is butting into our lives to nobody's request, making everything worse and harder. Watching us, checking up with us, trying to play catch in the yard with us. I don't want a relationship, Greg. Get out of my fucking house, Greg. Greg is the ICE of my home, is my point. And the point of this video, which was always about Greg. So abolish Greg. And ICE. If there's time. If there's only time for one, abolish Greg. No! I'm not talking about you! Greg, I was talking... It's a different Greg. He edits the show. I'm talking about him. No! Don't touch my Nintendo! Hello there. Welcome to the end of the episode, and the part where I say, thanks for watching. So, thanks for watching. It's also the part where I say, like and subscribe. So, like and subscribe. And so forth and so on. Leave a comment, do all the YouTube stuff. That'd be great, it really help us out. We've got a podcast called Even More News. You can watch it on this channel twice a week usually. You can also listen to this show, Some More News, as a podcast if you don't want to see me. And I'm over it if you don't. I'm dealing with it. We've got a patreon.com/somemorenews. You can help us out there. We've also got merch at a merch store with stuff on merch. Look at all that. Wow! So get out of my home now. Greg! The guy, not our editor. He can hang out. He's not here, but he can hang out if he wants. Mom, I need another sandwich!
Mezzanotte, gliela son io.